So let us begin this day with fresh energy, new ideas, and a renewed commitment to making an impact. So, are we ready? Yes. Okay, great. Without further ado, I would request the dignitaries to kindly step on the stage, please, and take your seats. We welcome them. This is going to be the session on Mera, Yuva, Bharat, advancing youth empowerment, engagement, and volunteerism. As we know that youth are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they are real change makers. They can be the policy makers as well. This session will focus on the power of young minds in shaping our economies, driving innovation, and contributing to society through volunteerism. And to set the stage, I invite a dynamic leader who represents the aspirations of young Indians, Mr. Monil Parikh, Director, Parikh Infracon. Please help me welcome with a big round of applause. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Good or top of the world? Top of the world, right? Okay. It is an absolute honor to stand before such a dynamic and passionate group of young minds. Yesterday, the BIMSTEC Youth Summit commenced with an inspiring inaugural session graced by the esteemed dignitaries, including Sri Bhupendra Bhai Patel, Honorable Chief Minister of Gujarat, and Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, Honorable Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. The inaugural discussions highlighted the role of youth in fostering regional collaboration and driving sustainable development across BIMSTEC nations. The day progressed with insightful roundtable and panel discussion and concluded with a visit to Dandikutir, providing delegates with a historical perspective on India's independence movement, followed by music fest and gala dinner. As we move forward, the first session of the day will focus on youth, Mera, Yuva, Bharat, advancing youth empowerment, engagement, and volunteerism. I firmly believe in the power of youth to shape not just the future, but the present. Today, we are here to talk about Mera, Yuva, Bharat and how we, as a young change makers, can take charge of our nation's destiny through empowerment and engagement. The Honorable Prime Minister launched the Mera Yuva Bharat portal as a cutting-edge technology platform aimed at empowering and developing the youth of India. It was established as an autonomous body under the Department of Youth Affairs, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. With over 65% of Indian population under the age of 35, we all are not just potential leaders, we are leaders today. The choices we make, the actions we take, will define the world of tomorrow. We are not alone in this journey. Initiatives like My Bharat provides us with a platform, resources, and opportunities to grow, lead, and make an impact. Empowerment isn't just about personal success. It's about equipping ourselves with the confidence to create meaningful change. Whether it's learning leadership, stepping out of your comfort zone, or tackling real-world problems, we grow when we engage the world beyond the textbooks. My Bharat ensures that we don't just prepare for the future, we nurture it. Being engaged means more than just showing up. It means being present, involved, and committed to solving the challenges around us. Whether it's education, sustainability, entrepreneurship, or social justice, there is a space for everyone to contribute. Real leadership isn't about age or titles. It's about seeing a problem and deciding to do something about it. And what truly transforms a nation? The spirit of giving. Volunteerism is not an obligation, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to build stronger communities, create lasting change, and inspire others to do the same. Imagine if every young person here dedicated just a few hours a week to to teaching, mentoring, or supporting a cause, the collective impact would be remarkable. This summit theme, Youth as a bridge for intra-BIMSTEC exchange, resonate deeply with my Bharat vision. Our challenges like climate change, unemployment, social inequality are not borne by borders. Solutions will come from collaboration from young minds across the nations working together towards a better world. By sharing ideas, building partnerships, we can accelerate progress towards a sustainable development by 2030. So today, I leave you with this challenge. Don't wait for permission. Act, lead, and give back. Because world doesn't just need young people. It needs young change makers. The future isn't something we wait for. It's something we build together. So let's get started. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Monil, for highlighting the pivotal role of youth in nation building. We appreciate it. Today we have with us somebody who's very dynamic. In his work profile, he's always been the best. His Excellency Indramani Pandey. He's a distinguished Indian diplomat with over 33 years of service in the Indian Foreign Service since 1990. He currently holds a significant diplomatic assignment following his tenure as India's permanent representative to the United Nations and other international organizations in Geneva. Previously, he served as India's ambassador to the Sultanate of Oman and held key positions such as Deputy Ambassador to France and Consulate General in China. His vast diplomatic experience includes assignments in Egypt, Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Switzerland, as well as crucial roles within the Ministry of External Affairs, handling disarmament, counterterrorism, West Asia, and South Asia affairs. Sir has also been a part of prestigious academic programs, including the Foreign Service Program at Oxford University and the National Security and Strategy course at India's National Defense College. His expertise in international diplomacy, security, and strategic affairs has been instrumental in shaping India's global engagements. So, now, it's time to hear from such a distinguished diplomat who has come over here for the first time in BISMET and in BIMSTEC, and we welcome him not only for this, and we have been giving that assurance that this is one of its kind, sir, and yesterday also we could see the engagements of all the countries' participation, and we very much promising that we take this thing to a next level, and we need your extensive support in that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Mr. Indramani Pandey, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, for his address over here. Welcome.
Namaskar, a very good morning, distinguished delegates, including honorable ministers and members of parliament who are part of the delegation. It's a pleasure to be here at the first BIMSTEC Youth Summit. I regret that I could not be the part of the inauguration yesterday because I had an important engagement in Colombo where we inaugurated the first BIMSTEC Digital Conclave, and also I had the opportunity to call on the new leadership of Sri Lanka. So that's why I traveled yesterday to Ahmedabad but could not participate in the inauguration and other meetings. Let me also here not only greet my very close friend and my batchmate, Her Excellency Meeta Rajiv Lochan, Secretary Youth Affairs and Sports, but also thank her for organizing this first BIMSTEC Youth Summit. In my meeting with her last year, I had requested her to take initial steps to bring youth of BIMSTEC countries together. And I'm truly grateful to you, Meeta, for taking this very important initiative. Also, she was instrumental in organizing the first BIMSTEC sport event, Aquatic Championship 2024 last year, in which I had participated. So I would like to here request her, and this is a public request, to continue to bless BIMSTEC in coming months and years with more events which bring our youth together, because we all say, and it's a cliche, that youth is our future, because first you're not constrained by the burdens of the past and you look up to the future. So you have open mind, and then when you come together, you can find new pathways for the countries in our region to work together. Let me here briefly introduce BIMSTEC. All of you are from BIMSTEC member states, so you must be familiar with some aspects of BIMSTEC, but I will still take you through introduction of BIMSTEC. So it's a regional organization which brings together 5 countries from South Asia. That's Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. And it also brings together 2 countries from Southeast Asia, that's Myanmar and Thailand. So together, 7 countries represent 2 different regions of Asia. Also, it's an intergovernmental organization, so and all the decisions are taken through consensus. So ministries of foreign affairs, other ministries of the government, they all work together to make cooperation within BIMSTEC happen. We have completed 27 years of our existence. We started our journey in Bangkok on 6th June 1997 through Bangkok Declaration. So initially it was Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand. We thought of creating a platform where we'll focus on technical and economic cooperation. And this organization was called BISTEC, B-I-S-T-E-C. Within 6 months, Myanmar decided to join, and that is how it became BIMSTEC. So Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Thailand economic cooperation. Then we were 5 members. In 2004, 7 years later, our 2 brothers from region, Nepal and Bhutan, also decided to join. So that's when we were challenged to give a new name while retaining the same abbreviation. So BIMSTEC, Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC was born. So for 2 decades, we have been together as BIMSTEC Bay of Bengal initiative. What are the unique aspects of BIMSTEC? 2 I mentioned, that it brings together countries from South and Southeast Asia. Also, it has been non-political in its nature, which essentially means that we have focused on technical and economic cooperation, but we have avoided deliberations on divisive political issues, because discussing those issues could bring out some of the differences that we have. We want to focus and remain focused on convergences. If we look at the significance of BIMSTEC, together we are 1.8 billion people. If we look at our collective GDP, it's about $5 trillion. If we look at our collective external trade, it's about $3 trillion. So we are a very powerful, even though small in number, powerful regional organization. The core aim has always been find convergences, identify specific areas of cooperation and project, and then work together to implement them. We have a number of sectors of cooperation, but at the Colombo Summit, which was held in March 2022, it was a virtual summit, it was decided that we'll group the sectors in a way that each member state would be a lead state for specific sectors. The idea was to, one, ensure participation of all the member states, and second, to make one specific member state responsible for taking lead and taking initiatives in specific sectors. So let me briefly mention those sectors for your information. Bangladesh leads trade, investment and development sector, but it also has now sector of blue economy. Then if we look at Bhutan, it leads very important sector of environment and climate change, as also mountain economy. Then India leads security sector, but also energy sector and disaster management. Myanmar leads agriculture, food security and allied sectors like fisheries and livestock. Then Nepal leads very important sector of what we call people-to-people relations. So it leads cooperation in tourism, in culture. It also leads cooperation in visa matters. And then different mechanisms for engagement of people. So think tanks, youth-related matters, sports-related matters. In all these sectors, Nepal is the lead state. It also has the sector of poverty alleviation. Then we come to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka plays the leading role in science, technology and innovation. But it also has two other important sectors, health and human resource development. And finally, Thailand. Thailand has been the lead in very important sector of connectivity in all its dimensions, whether we look at surface connectivity, we look at maritime connectivity, or even digital connectivity. What have we achieved? So I would have liked to go into details of progress that we have made in different sectors. So if I have time after my initial introduction about BIMSTEC, I will do cover that. But what we have been able to do essentially is that we have in all these sectors sectoral mechanisms, including ministerial meetings, senior officials meeting. We also have what we call basic framework mechanisms, core mechanisms. So at the bottom we have BIMSTEC Permanent Working Committee, essentially national focal points in all the 7 foreign ministries, they come together. Then we have senior officers meeting. So there we have secretaries or their equivalent in Ministry of Foreign Affairs coming together. Then we have foreign ministers meetings. And finally we have summits. So we have had so far 5 BIMSTEC summits. It essentially indicates that summits have not taken place regularly or as frequently as we would have liked them to take place. But 6th summit is due to take place very soon. The date has been decided and agreed also by all the member states. But we are waiting for the host, Thailand, to announce it formally. And that's why I can't mention those dates with you, because it has to be announced formally. What we have also now, which is where the credit goes to Thailand, is that introduction of retreats of foreign ministers. So in 2023 and in 2024, our foreign ministers also met in retreat format. First retreat was hosted by Thailand. Second was hosted by India. This allowed our foreign ministers to look at entire gamut of cooperation within BIMSTEC holistically and then come out with some more recommendations on how to strengthen this cooperation. Last year, for the first time, we also started informal meeting of foreign ministers in New York on the sidelines of UN General Assembly's high-level segment. So there was a meeting hosted by Dr. Jayasankar, External Affairs Minister of India, in New York, in which foreign ministers and other senior delegates from member states participated. But the concept of retreat was actually introduced by Honorable Prime Minister Modi. In 2016, when India hosted BRICS Summit, Prime Minister Modi had hosted a retreat of BIMSTEC leaders. And that retreat had given a lot of energy and impetus to BIMSTEC, and a number of initiatives which were then announced by the leaders, they have been implemented, and they have brought immense benefits to regional cooperation within BIMSTEC. Here I would like to basically touch upon India's role in BIMSTEC, because India is hosting this youth summit, so I thought it would be important to highlight 2-3 key aspects. One, it's a founding member, so it has from the very beginning given a strong push to BIMSTEC cooperation. Second, as I mentioned, it has not only hosted the summit, but also a retreat of BIMSTEC leaders. Being a member state which has been focused a lot on regional cooperation, and if we look at the 2 key strands of India's foreign policy, which is Act East policy and Neighborhood First policy. So BIMSTEC member states are all our neighbors, and also they are all part of our Act East policy. So that is why BIMSTEC brings together these very key strands of India's foreign policy, and that's why India had so much focused on it. Prime Minister Modi had mentioned that he had hosted a retreat, but also at the Colombo summit for the first time he announced a grant of $1 million to strengthen the basic institutions within BIMSTEC. And that grant has been utilized by the BIMSTEC Secretariat for several purposes for strengthening our cooperation within BIMSTEC. Now let me basically also highlight what are our external engagements and why do we have external engagement. I think the basic purpose for BIMSTEC to engage externally is to leverage the capacities, resources, knowledge and expertise of our external partners to serve our basic purpose of regional cooperation. So if they can contribute to our regional cooperation, we are open to have engagement with them. Our charter, which was adopted at the Colombo summit in March 2022 and entered into force last year in May, allows us to engage with developmental partners. So we can enter into memorandum of understanding, we can sign agreements, we can do projects together. So far our engagement has been mainly with Asian Development Bank, but we are poised to sign MOU with World Bank also. We are looking to cooperate with UNODC and some other UN organizations. We are also going to have MOUs with regional organizations like Indian Ocean Rim Association and ASEAN, because ASEAN are our natural partners, and also some of our members are members of IORA also. I have had discussions with also some organizations which can contribute directly or indirectly to our agenda, like World Health Organization, International Telecommunications Union, World Intellectual Property Organization, UN Conference on Trade and Development, UN Women, and UN Development Program. So we'll continue to engage them in order to leverage their capacities for our collective benefit, for undertaking projects, whether they are related to capacity building or they are related to knowledge sharing or some other aspects. There are a lot of questions raised whenever I interact with people that why BIMSTEC has not been able to live up to the expectations of the member states. There are some institutional shortcomings, but we have decided to address them upfront, and that's why last year an eminent persons group was created. The group met 6 times in Dhaka, and it had submitted its report to the leader of foreign ministers meeting, that's foreign minister of Thailand. The report is being examined by member states on how to implement it, and I'm quite confident that once we have implemented recommendations contained in that report, BIMSTEC will be a more vibrant, more purposeful, and more revitalized organization, more dynamic in its approach and able to move at a faster pace in regional cooperation. I would like to conclude by 2 more ideas. One, what we are going to do at the 6th BIMSTEC Summit. So first thing that we are going to adopt Bangkok vision for BIMSTEC. It will be for the first time that we will be adopting a vision document for our regional organization. And again, here credit goes to Thailand and other member states for coming together and drafting this vision. We will have eminent persons group adopted by our leaders. We'll have rules of procedures approved by our leaders. A number of MOUs will be signed. But I think something which we are all looking forward to and would be a significant achievement is signing an adoption of Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement, because Bay of Bengal is essentially a marine domain, and cooperation in maritime transport would be very helpful in encouraging more trade, more people-to-people exchanges, including tourism, cultural exchanges. So it will be very beneficial to have that agreement. And in fact, we have already started negotiating the standard operating procedures to implement that agreement. So that will be a very important outcome of the summit. The last point which I thought I would deal with is, this question is often asked, why BIMSTEC? When we have other regional organizations. I think one, BIMSTEC was born with a very specific objective in our minds, is that we needed a platform where we could engage in cooperation, what we call technical and economic cooperation, away from politics, away from political differences among our member states. So this organization serves that very specific purpose. Secondly, it has its own agenda, and it has its own mechanisms to fulfill the dreams of our member states. Thirdly, when we look at regional cooperation, there is a scope for more than one regional organization to coexist and contribute to our regional cooperation. So it's not a binary choice that we should have either X organization or Y. Both can coexist and can contribute to regional cooperation. BIMSTEC, the way it is now, and the way I envisage BIMSTEC's future, it is poised to play a very significant role in regional cooperation. And we need that regional cooperation given the challenges that we face. We have shared challenges, we have shared geographical space, and if we work together in the areas that we have already agreed on, we can make a significant change to realization of our sustainable development goals and to have a more secure environment in Bay of Bengal. And these are the two core objectives, and therein lies the relevance of BIMSTEC. So I would like to conclude by again expressing my absolute delight and happiness that first BIMSTEC Youth Summit is taking place. And again, I would like to thank Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and particularly my very dear friend Mera, for taking this very significant initiative. I would be writing separately to Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports for his support and for requesting him to take similar more initiatives in future. And I would like to conclude by appealing to all of you that please do remain engaged with BIMSTEC in your interactions in the organizations that you represent. Take into account what BIMSTEC is poised to do and how your organization can contribute to that goal of the BIMSTEC, or how BIMSTEC can contribute to your organization's goal. Above all, do talk about BIMSTEC in all your engagements when you talk to your interlocutors, your friends, your colleagues in your organizations. We need more awareness about this important regional organization, and you have a role to play, because in the coming years when this organization would be playing important role, it would be in interest of all of you, and it will be able to do so only because you would be contributing to its success. So you are a very important stakeholder in BIMSTEC. So please do remain engaged with us. Secretariat is available. We are located in Dhaka, but we can be contacted through several means. So do write to us, do engage with us, and looking forward to seeing you again in other engagements at other platforms. Thank you for your kind attention, listening very attentively to me, and then looking forward to more engagements with you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful words, for your informative address, and also for your presence over here. We deeply appreciate that. We have with us today Ms. Meeta Rajiv Lochan, the Secretary, Youth Affairs, Government of India. She is a seasoned civil servant with over 34 years of experience in governance and policy implementation. As Secretary, Youth Affairs, she led the launch of mybharat.gov.in, connecting youth with opportunities and mentors, and facilitated the Y20 engagement under G20, involving 2.5 million young participants. Previously as Member Secretary, National Commission for Women, she established a 24/7 helpline for women in distress, now a permanent support system. She has also contributed to financial reforms, healthcare efficiency, and streamlining India's foreign trade. A prolific writer, she has authored 3 books and over 50 research articles. Her latest book, Making India Great Again, Learning from Our History, highlights India's technological achievements and the path to a knowledge-driven future. And we all know, to empower the youth, policy and action must go hand in hand. Who better to shed light on this than our speaker, Mrs. Meeta Rajiv Lochan, Secretary, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India. Please welcome her. Welcome, ma'am.
My dear colleague, Secretary General BIMSTEC, Mr. Pandey, Mr. Monil Parekh, young delegates from all the BIMSTEC nations, my colleagues and dear friends, a very good morning to all of you and namaste. Friends, it's a privilege to be here today to interact with a group of such innovative, energetic and inspired young people who are committed to a shared vision for a shared future. Friends, the BIMSTEC Youth Summit is a very powerful symbol of unity and cooperation among our nations. It is also a symbol of the potential of youth to be catalysts for meaningful change. And in fact, this is precisely what the Mera Yuva Bharat platform is all about. The platform is designed to be used by youth as a tool to empower themselves to lead their nations. This platform was set up more than 1 year ago as part of an overall vision that sees youth as proactive agents of change, as those who can co-create the future and not just as passive observers. We believe that youth of this globe need tools with which to connect to each other, to connect to meaningful experiences, and means to participate in constructive activities that lead to nation building and through which they can gain meaningful experiences. My Yuva Bharat or Mera Yuva Bharat is a networking and social engagement platform that is designed to build up such kind of networks. In our experience of so long, we have seen that the best networks are those that are created by meaningful shared group activities. And that is precisely what this platform is intended to do. In the last 1 year and 3 months that it has been in existence, it has been able to register over 16 million young people in all corners of India. Yesterday, I was listening carefully to all the discussions, and a theme that came up repeatedly was the need to reach out to rural areas, the need to see that no young person is left behind, the need to bridge the digital divide, and to see that all youth in all corners of the country are able to access means to participate in socio-economic growth. And this is precisely what Mera Yuva Bharat does. It is a platform that is designed to provide experiential learning to youth. What do we mean by experiential learning? By experiential learning, we mean learning by doing. So learning by doing, what is essentially intended over here to convey is that while through their education, through classroom learning, youth are able to acquire domain knowledge, they are also able to learn about tools, how to leverage that domain knowledge, but at the same time, it's also very important for them to interact with the real world in real world situations in order to be able to understand how to apply those tools, in order to see how those factors play out in real life. And that's the only way to round out an education and to connect them with meaningful experiences. So for instance, a student of agriculture, an agriculture course can teach him or her about agronomics, about soil health, about different kind of crops and crop rotation practices. But the experience of actually working on a farm, on sorting and grading fruits and vegetables, of harvesting crops, of using mechanized tools, it is that would enable that young lady to find out how all these activities can add value to farm produce. A student of commerce, I'm sure many of you are students of commerce, or there are many of you who have had an active connection to businesses. We can read all we like about ledgers, debit and credit in commerce courses, but unless we go out into the real world, participate in real world activity, for instance in a retail store, to see how inventory management is done, how books are kept, to make those entries in the accounting software, it's that which gives real meaning to whatever you learn in a classroom. Friends, these are the opportunities which the world over and till before the internet, these were available only to a privileged few. They were available by word of mouth because that's how the world operated. how do I participate in an opportunity? I'm able to participate only if my family knows someone who can connect me. And this is precisely the barrier that Mera Yuva Bharat was created to break. The fundamental goal of the platform is to democratize access to opportunities everywhere, even in small towns, tier 2, tier 3 cities, and in remote villages. Today, we are very proud to say that among the 16 million young people who are registered on this platform, people are registered in the remotest corners of the country, from Ladakh to the villages in the northeast, on the border, in the deepest forests of India, and in remote communities. The tools that Mera Yuva Bharat takes up or has incorporated into the platform to connect youth to meaningful opportunities is through the concept of My Bharat organizations. So essentially, My Bharat organizations are organizations that are prepared to offer youth engagement experiences on this platform. They get a dedicated profile page on which they can offer two kinds of opportunities. One is a short-term volunteer for Bharat. A short-term engagement could be, for instance, engagement in a blood donation drive, an immunization drive, an effort to go out into remote communities and teach digital tools to young students, or it could be even any other agronomic related short-term engagement. Experiential learning is a more consistent, a month or 2 month engagement in which people contribute in a sustained manner over many days to participate in a community activity. For instance, one of the latest programs that Mera Yuva Bharat has taken up is the Digital Agriculture Mission. So what is the Digital Agriculture Mission all about? It is an initiative of the Government of India to reach out to farmers in all corners of the country to enable them to complete their Know Your Customer protocols, to enable them to feed the details of their land holding into the online platform that has been built for farmers, and to also enable them to upload details of their crops in an online application. Now this is a vast task. Very large parts of India continue to be agrarian, and it's here that we need young people, young volunteers in all corners of the country, and this is an effort that is being taken up by My Yuva Bharat to engage young people in local activities. Essentially, Mera Yuva Bharat is a hyper-local platform that allows youth to engage with the community in regions that are close by, that are within a bus ride, so that they don't have to go to very distant locations. It's very easy to register on the platform. It takes all of about 10 minutes to enter your demographic details, and all the opportunities that are listed here are searchable. It's an easy search using geographical location. It essentially enables youth to see what all these real world activities are all about. Friends, when we talk about learning by doing, when we talk about experiential learning, we are not just talking about domain knowledge. Now, no doubt, education today is all about acquiring domain knowledge, which is very important. But when all of you go out into the real world, and I was talking to many of the young delegates, some of them are members of parliament, others are entrepreneurs, all of you would have seen that achieving goals is about working with people. It's about learning how to interact with others, to participate in defining of goals, to participate in pursuing those goals, acting upon them, and then from time to time to evaluate whether those goals have been achieved or not. And this is precisely what participating in any group activity or project that is designed to address the lives of people around us, this is what it does. It teaches you to network and to engage with each other. In the last couple of decades, when we look around us, we see that digital tools and internet tools have empowered people in a variety of ways, and it has made opportunities and knowledge available to so many people. But at the same time, it can also encourage an inward looking approach in which we are very comfortable with our laptops, with our mobiles, and we spend so much time in searching on the internet. But we also need to see that it is very important to interact with others, with our peers, our colleagues, with real world people, because that's how work is done. And I think that was one of the lasting experiences that we had in COVID. While COVID, the pandemic, allowed people to work online, it also brought home to them the value of real world interaction. That it's when people get together in small groups that they are able to find out how best to work with each other, how best to take their work forward. So friends, this is basically what My Bharat platform is all about. Currently, we are onboarding organizations ranging from primary credit societies, farmer producer organizations, banks, urban local bodies, rural local bodies, also increasingly businesses. One of the knowledge partners of this particular summit, the CII Young Indians, are enthusiastically onboarding young small businesses who are looking to engage with young people by offering real world projects, allowing them to work on real world problems in organizational settings. It is a means to allow people to participate in a very real way in shaping the world around them. Just recently, the Government of India, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, organized a Viksit Bharat Young Leaders Dialogue. And in that dialogue, for the last 3 months, over 3 million people in different parts of the country engaged with each other. They talked about different kinds of projects, whether it is building infrastructure for the future, improving agricultural productivity, empowerment of women, empowerment of youth. They pitched those ideas to each other, and the final 3,000 talented finalists, they came to New Delhi to interact with the Honorable Prime Minister. He was so impressed by their vision. All of us were so impressed by their vision. We believe that young people of today have all the energy that is required to change the world into a much better place. Our focus, the focus of the Government of India, through this platform and many other related initiatives, has always been to provide them means to interact with each other, to build useful networks which will last them into the future and which will enable them to leverage and to synergize their strengths. Essentially, countries transform when youth are able to synergize their diverse talents to work together to achieve shared goals. And this is what My Bharat is all about. It also provides, it's one of the only platforms in India that provides a unique profile page to every young person. Please do go over there and see. It's a shareable page. It allows you to talk about yourself, your work, your skill sets, your attributes, and also whatever experiential learning you do, the certificates that you generate, that would be reflected on your profile. Friends, so far we have seen in the last 2 decades an explosion of social media platforms in which people use social media to exchange views with each other. Now, no doubt it's important to exchange views, but it's also important to connect with each other through community activity. In the end, the most important force which connects people is meaningful activity that gives youth a sense that they have collaborated in an important venture where the results are very visible. This is what Mera Yuva Bharat does, and we do hope that this kind of model would be very useful to all of you delegates and to the countries in the BIMSTEC group to enable them to take the youth of the country forward, to enable them to contribute to the vision of a shared future and shared goals for BIMSTEC. So I'll stop over here, and now I think, although we are running behind time, we can perhaps take questions, 10 minutes. So thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your powerful insights. Thank you for reminding us that the road to youth empowerment indeed lies in engagement, participation, and leadership. So now we open the floor for the questions. Yes. The first lady is ready. Okay, wait. Can we have the microphones out there? Yeah, okay. You can pass it on to her. Inko de dijiye.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alisha Pradhan from Bangladesh. I'm a founder of Hernet Television. It's a TV, works for women empowerment, one of a kind in the world. I also run Hernet Foundation, serving SDGs. And from last year, I'm focusing on Hernet Fine Arts, where we bridge the gap for Bangladeshi artists. And we are also creating Bangladeshi largest art data center. So it's an opportunity for me to be here attending BIMSTEC Youth Summit, first Youth Summit. So thank you, and the amazing hospitality. I'm truly amazed and inspired by everything you have said, ma'am. It's about the community engagement. And also, sir, you have addressed that how we can integrate our own organization in alignment with BIMSTEC so we can create something more powerful. And here is what I want to suggest. Since I'm working with art, I would like to bring artistic exchange among the BIMSTEC countries, because it is not just a social engagement, or there is also trade. It generates a job, but at the same time, in a world where we are living in, division, we have tension, geopolitics, and economics. So art is the only one element that can always unite any source of division that we may have, but we will collide in togetherness. So I want to propose forum within the BIMSTEC Summit where we can bring out the art, specifically the young artists, and also host together workshop or cultural exchange program among the 7 countries. And I think India would be a perfect country to start, given the historical cultural lineage. So I'd like to engage in a discussion where we can talk about this. And it is also a $1 trillion industry, right? So I think the BIMSTEC countries, all of us, we have such enriched culture. And also, I think the young people are not that much involved with the art business. Hence, it would be an amazing opportunity, given this is the first youth summit, to engage or maybe launch the idea where we can bring culture and art, and it would also facilitate amazing trade. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question, Alisha. And definitely, art and culture is a very important sector that allows youth across countries to collaborate with each other. That is one of the sectors that is available on My Bharat, and events of a cultural variety could be created by different organizations. They already are. We invite everyone to participate over there. For other questions, I request delegates, given paucity of time, if you could ask them in smaller time, it would enable many more people to engage. Yes, I see a hand over there. Please give her the mic.
Good morning. Thank you all panelists for your insightful remarks. My question is particularly for the Secretary General. Sir, again, thank you so much for providing such an excellent overview of why we should care about the BIMSTEC. And I'm really glad that you brought up the maritime agreement, because I've always been of the view that a country like Bhutan, where I'm from, and also our colleagues from Nepal might agree, we're landlocked. We've traditionally neglected maritime agreements because we do not necessarily see that as directly impacting us. But now with the new maritime agreement that the BIMSTEC is proposing, I would really appreciate it if you could give the contours of some of the provisions that might benefit landlocked countries like Bhutan and Nepal so that we can leverage such agreements to accelerate trade. Thank you.
Just a quick point, one related to culture and art. So culture is on our agenda. It's one of the sectors for cooperation. But thank you very much for suggesting the idea of bringing the art and culture together and bringing young artists from our member states. We'll certainly discuss with the member states on how to do it. Regarding maritime transport cooperation agreement, even for landlocked states like Bhutan and Nepal, there is a dependence on maritime transport. So in that sense, the agreement will be very relevant for the two countries also, because it will enhance connectivity among the ports, it will enhance connectivity among the port operators, shipping companies, the companies which are engaged in cruise tourism, or maritime transport. So with more interactions among all the stakeholders in maritime transport, there will be benefit from the for two countries too. And here, if I may mention, that India has offered to establish a center of excellence for cooperation in maritime transport. So that center is likely to emerge as the hub for such kind of exchanges and capacity building too.
Next question. Yeah, I see your hand there.
Hello everyone, particularly to sir. Listening to you was like a blessing to me because I have learned even more than reading a book about the history of BIMSTEC. So I have one particular question to you. You were telling that one country has been designated with the responsibility of expanding the people-to-people relationship, visa, culture. So, like from your basket of experiences, may I know, was there any initiative or discussion on the table based on the, easing the visa process among the BIMSTEC country? I am as a youth of BIMSTEC, I just want to know, was there any progress or was there any discussion on the table? Because, all we have to get a visa before planning to go somewhere. Thank you.
There was a meeting of the expert group on visa matters last year, and there was a consensus that member states should take initiative to ease the visa procedures and requirements of visa for BIMSTEC member states citizens. And Nepal, which leads this sector, has been given the responsibility to prepare a concept paper on how to achieve that goal. So we are in discussion with Nepalese authorities on preparing that concept paper, which will be then shared with other member states. And then it will be taken up during the next meeting of the expert group on visa matters. So yes, it is on our agenda and we are trying to work towards that goal.
Next question. Yeah, there's a hand over there. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for the engaging discussions. So my question is primarily geared towards what BIMSTEC can do as a collaboration between unintended fiscal policies. Because the reason I'm asking this is most of the engagement that we see is either through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or even there are discussions among the central banks in monetary policies. Obviously, you get a lot of discussions, with the dollarization and a lot of the currency discussions that are going on. So there's a lot going on in that front. But all of the discussions that we are having amongst us right now, be it AI, be it, visas and so on, you get to see a lot of that in fiscal budgets when the country announce it. But there's so less collaboration between the Ministry of Finances in all of our regions. So are there any plans to engage discussions in fiscal policies, because they do impact aggregate demand and there's a lot going around there. So it would be really inspiring to see some of the youth voices, in those discussions and policy making decisions in the fiscal policy front. So just wanted to pose this question.
At the first foreign ministers retreat, there was a proposal by the then foreign minister of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Ali Sabri, to have a platform within BIMSTEC to discuss fiscal and monetary policies of the member states. So we have taken that proposal forward. There is a plan to create an expert group. It has already been approved by the senior officials of the BIMSTEC member states and just awaiting ministerial approval of the some member states. So we are on the verge of creating that group, which will be first of its kind, and thank you for reminding us that we have not been engaged in cooperation in matters related to finance. And then once the group is created, it will be able to take forward the discussion both in the fiscal space as well as monetary space. And there is a lot that we can work together through our central banks, through our ministries of finance. So this kind of cooperation is going to take place.
So I think we have space for at least one more question. Yeah, I can see two questions and then we'll close. Yeah, please, could you stand up and introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Thanru Disanayaka from Sri Lanka, a member of parliament. I have a small question from you, ma'am. When you are initiating volunteer programs with younger people in India, have you noticed any cultural and financial barriers with them? Have you noticed family pressure to solely focus on education and not letting them to engage with these kind of voluntary programs? If you noticed it with past few decades, how you were able to overcome those challenges? That's my question.
How we were able to overcome the challenges posed by?
Was by social, cultural barriers to become a volunteer, and the financial barriers to be family pressure or something like that, or solely some younger people, they have to put a lot of time on education. So that question is mine.
So thank you for that question. In fact, one of the very important pillars of our platform is a series of youth exchange programs. So those youth exchange programs connect youth from two completely different geographical corners of the country, where a group of 25 to 30 people go to another state and vice versa, and they live in that community for 7 days. They interact with people over there, and interestingly, we found when we talked to those people after the program that they use that space to learn the language of the other party, and they find that it's a very positive experience, and those networks remain with them for a very long time. So that is so far as culture is concerned. So far as education is concerned, what we found was that it was very much possible to stagger these experiential learning programs, so people could take them up 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and spread it out over 3-4 months. It was very much possible to combine that with their whatever degree programs they were pursuing. During holidays, of course, they can do a consistent program of 30-45 days, but even otherwise, we were able to handle that, and they all reported that it helped them to make sense of their course curriculum in a much better way. Thank you. Yeah, one question.
Hello, my name is Sunam. I Bhutan is 95% run by SMEs. So SMEs, and if you look into SMEs, there's a lot of young people. The whole entrepreneurship startup happens in this ecosystem. And out of which 70% of our focus is in agri-food systems. And the vision for the region is to be able to interoperate in this region. But we've been having a lot of challenges in terms of standards, certifications, even within the 7 countries of BIMSTEC. Is there a discussion where the regional, I would put it in the regional trade context, is there opportunities where we can ease those barriers, both tariff and non-tariff? I think this is very crucial because we are talking about economic integration, but if you feel within our own region, it's so difficult to define what is economic integration. And at the end of the day, I think there has to be interoperability. I think we have to rethink our standards cooperation, especially from economic barriers. And as you mentioned, youth is where a lot of these people are getting engaged. They're so excited, whether it's technology, AI, blockchain, we discuss so many. I see a lot of young people. So I would really request if this could be put on the agenda on BIMSTEC and really put words into action. Thank you.
The issues that you raised, they are on the agenda of the BIMSTEC. So in 2004, we did sign a framework agreement for free trade BIMSTEC area. And then we launched negotiations on what we call constituent agreements for free trade, investments, services sector cooperation. We have also working group on trade facilitation. There is a working group on customs matter. So these negotiations have been making progress. Particularly in trade facilitation and customs cooperation, we have made quite a lot of progress. But we are still not there where we can conclude those agreements. So what we have also tried to do is to enhance business-to-business engagement through bringing business communities of our BIMSTEC member states together. And one of the initiatives is to create a BIMSTEC chamber where our business organizations could come together and have more exchanges. And there is also a suggestion to create an expert group on MSMEs, particularly to assist those enterprises in their external trade and facilitate their engagement by using digital technologies also. So there is a discussion on that, but I will admit that the discussions have not progressed at the pace that we would have liked them to progress. So if I can propose that I intended to make a presentation where I would have presented the details of initiatives and achievements in different sectors. So I would request Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to later share that presentation with all the participants so that you'll have the benefit of knowing more about what we are actually doing on the ground.
So we would be very happy, thank you Mr. Pandey, we would be very happy to share the Secretariat's presentation with all the young delegates for their information. So I think that brings the session to a close. Thank you, friends.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Monilji, for that very interactive and very informative session. It is indeed an honor to have the Secretary General over here. So we wish to extend again a thank you note with lots of and huge round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Say your papers. Thank you very much. And we now move on to the session 6, which is on startups and cybersecurity, building safe and innovative businesses. Allow us a minute or two to set the stage. And